Spartan Up, podcast. And we are at Underground Strength Training.
Undergroundstrength.tv. This guy don't even know who I am.
All right, SpartanUpPodcast.com. In the beautiful Amy Barn, right outside of an organic farm, and with wonderful gentlemen that surround me. We have Colonel Nye.
Gatwa,
our Gatwa expert. and Johnny Waite, our creative doctor.
He's a creative doctor. He might
He's
work on
obviously
your
the
heart.
linguist.
He could work on your leg. You don't know.
It's whatever I'm feeling that day, really. Whatever I'm feeling that day.
He's more of a wordsmith.
And
than
Joe.
myself.
And then we got Marion on the camera.
Marion on the camera.
All right, let's move forward.
All right, yeah. Let's move underground.
Yeah.
Move underground.
Oh, underground.
Nice. Okay.
Joe here. We are at Spartan Up, the podcast headquarters in Pittsfield, Vermont. Zach Even-Esh, you remember my friend from Israel. He shows up.
Fly in whenever I feel
He
it.
shows up. Some people come and they ask if they can stay over. He shows up with 16 friends. Who shows up to your house with 16 friends? He's got 16 of the best trainers in the world here. Underground straight training, certified. Guys from all over the country.
Yeah.
Right?
Guys from all around the country here, as far away as California. Highly motivated coaches that want to really learn not just about training, but also about life. That's why we're out here, to escape the normalcy of life, and to push our own boundaries and to grow, to go back better. And it's only going to be 2 days, 48 hours. But last time I was here, I was only here for not even 24 hours, and just time. And if things are powerful, people are going to get inspired. So we're going to...
One of the tricks we use here in Vermont, the reason it works so well with short duration is because we don't sleep. So you will see tonight there's no sleep. We're going to go straight through till Sunday, and then you guys leave.
Awesome. I did tell everybody that's exactly what they're signing up for. So, Joe, let's fill everybody in watching Spartan Up, the podcast, about a big theme that's actually in Spartan Up, the book, and what we're going to be talking about with entrepreneurs here. And let's talk about the theme of this episode.
So let's talk about delayed gratification. So I'm not sure how many of you know the cookie test or marshmallow test. 1972, Stanford researcher decided to take a bunch of children, I don't know total numbers, but a lot of kids, put them in cubicles and leave a marshmallow or a cookie in front of them. He then says, you can have that now, or when I come back, I'll give you two. Well, most kids, like most of us, take the cookie or the marshmallow now. One girl actually ate the inside of the marshmallow and then put it back, trying to hide the fact that she ate it. They followed these kids for 30 years. What they found was 100% correlation. The kids that could wait and delay gratification were more successful in life, better marriages, better house, better automobiles, better education. Everything in their life was better. There's a woman we recently interviewed for the podcast named Angela Duckworth. She's at University of Pennsylvania. She studies grit. She's the preeminent expert on grit. She argues that delayed gratification is just one component of success. Grit is the ability to stay focused and excited even while things aren't going well. So not only do you have to wake up early in the morning and not take the cookie and sleep in automobiles, but you've got to be excited when there's no new members signed up for the gym, the roof is leaking, and you're still excited every day to keep it going. So there's a bunch of arguments around whether it's delayed gratification, whether it's grit, whether it's both. So let's touch base on how everybody here feels about, those topics, and then what's made them successful or not, or what they think.
Everybody here has a different story, yet at the same time there's a lot of similarities. And the one similarity is essentially kind of like what we're talking about with the cookie test, is they're doing things that their peers or that people in their age group are normally not doing. So our younger coaches here are not out spending their paycheck every weekend at the bar, at restaurants, and just wasting that money. They're going through, I want to do this party period. Instead, they're building something that they're inspired about, but also challenging. So I want to talk about, we're going to start with CJ over here, and he came to the first certification. Were you 20?
Yeah, I think it was 21 or 20 at that time. Yeah.
20 or 21, slept in cars on multiple times. So talk about why you did the things you did to, I guess, some people might look at it as a sacrifice, but you look at it as, hey, this is just That's part of the blueprint to success.
With that thing, I just really look at it like an investment, you know? I wanted to build this thing. I wanted to learn more, so I sought out the people that were doing what I wanted to do at a high level, and I went there and learned from them. When I attended Zach's first kind of seminar, I slept in my car. I was 20 at that time when I attended the Underground Strength Conference. I just knew that training people and changing lives was what I really wanted to do. And I knew that if I was going to get to a high level at that, I needed to go to where the people were already doing that, already transforming lives, and learn directly from them.
And that's actually, he's been to like 2 seminars, sleeping in cars, and sometimes I find that there's just that common theme. It's not necessarily, is it the cookie, but it's that person that's willing to do the things that I guess the 99 point whatever percent don't want to do.
I love that he used the word investment.
Yes.
Right? When you that cookie's sitting in front, you're investing, not eating it. And I've never thought of it in that term before, and that's right. Most people don't want to invest.
Who here has a regular, quote unquote regular job, but also running a business? Who's our guys that are doing that? What keeps you going? Being a full, you have a full-time job and you run a gym and five kids.
So I think the biggest thing, and this is something that the first time I can remember doing it as an exercise you guys do, is knowing your why, right? So if you know what you're passionate about and why you're running your business, whatever job you're in, why you're doing it, delaying that gratification or finding that grit is not easy, but it absolutely, knowing your why gives you that purpose. And if you do that exercise that you have everybody do, you write down your why, not just think about it, but you put it on paper and you review it often. I think when things are bad, when you have a member, a low time at the gym, when you're not getting a lot of members, review that why, and you kind of know, hey, I'm doing this for a purpose. This is going to be all right. I'm going to get past this. I have the grit. I can delay that gratification.
It's not that we necessarily pick the right niche market or any of these words that tend to be thrown around. If you go to like a business 101 class, some of these guys were saying they went to a business 101 class in college. They said, man, that's not really the real world. What everybody that got into what they do here, they never showed up and spoke with me and said, show me how to make a lot of money. The common theme is always, I want to change people's lives and I need help figuring out how to go about doing this, and they figured it out on the way. They didn't have that perfect blueprint. So I think I remember the time when Travis showed up in New Jersey from Omaha, and after the seminar he had told me that the whole time he signed up, and he said his friend had him sign up, and they're like, what are we going to New Jersey for? This sounds like completely crazy. And he said, when I got there and I got into the gym, like I knew I was in the right place.
Yeah, well, like Zach said, I made the decision. It was a tough decision at the time because I didn't have the money to get out to New Jersey, so I threw all that on a credit card and said, I'm going to do this, because I wasn't happy with what I was doing. I obviously wanted to train people, but where I was at, I was like in a big box gym atmosphere, and I just wasn't enjoying it anymore. So I took a trip out to New Jersey, and like Zach said, immediately when I stepped into the building, into his gym, I was like, this is what I want to create right here. And so we went through a cert as soon as I got back. Just took fast action. I knew that's what I wanted to do, and so I just started building up my gym, talking to people, and getting people on board. And I was training people in parks, at playgrounds, because I couldn't train them the way I wanted to train them at the gym I was at. And so I was just slowly kind of building things up. And I know Joe kind of mentioned, like, you can't have something huge right off the bat. Like, you got to delay that gratification. You got to embrace that grit. And I think when you really think about that, if you want something special, it's not going to be built fast. And I think people need to realize that when you build it very fast, the overall quality of it is going to be lower in my mind. Instead, build it very, very slow. And a story that kind of came to my mind last night, when Zach was talking about training one athlete. So obviously you always want your gym like bumping, but when we first moved in the gym, like we would have like 1-2 athletes. And I remember there was a kid, his dad found me on the internet through like YouTube videos and stuff like that. And I remember he showed up to the gym. It was just him, and I was like, God, I don't want to train just one athlete. I want like 10 athletes. I want 20 athletes. But I was like, this is what I want to do, so I'm going to put like all of my effort into this one kid for this one training session. I thought to myself, I'm here. I'm doing what I want to do, and he's here, so we're going to freaking rock this out. And that kid, I gave him a hell of an experience. He's stuck around my gym, and he was a state champion last year for wrestling. And that kid has grown into 10 other kids. So obviously people saw the success that he was having in the gym. Word of mouth spread. People, started coming to me. And so that was slowly built. I didn't have that right off the bat. So I had to be patient, had to put in the hard work, had to do the stuff that I didn't want to do at the start. The gym I was working for found out through like YouTube videos and stuff, and so they fired me. But it was a blessing in disguise. I was about ready to put in my 2-week notice anyway, so it was good.
I hope you're not sitting still while you listen. If you are, you better get a burpee break in.
I think that having grit and delayed gratification has a lot to do with fear management. And no, you always have to trust in yourself. You have to trust that you're making decisions, and you have to trust that they're going to be the right ones, or you have to understand that not every decision you make is going to be the right one, but you have to keep moving forward. Even when you fail, you know a little bit more than you did before you failed, so you know what works and what doesn't work for yourself.
Anybody here want to talk about like what do you do to harness the fear? Because there's a lot of nerves in not just starting the business, but the day-to-day operations, and there's different nervous energy for those of you that are parents, because the success of your business is how much food can be put on the table.
I know that one day I'm not going to be walking on this earth anymore, and we all have that in common. We're all going to die, and that time is ticking away. And when I'm on my deathbed, I don't want to be thinking, oh man, should I have done this? Should I kind of done that? I already have regret in my life. So, I think regret is, like you talked about, the 2 pains in life. I think regret is a huge pain. And that's what really drives me to do what I do, and not to have that fear of having regret.
That's one of the things, as you do the math, you talk to a lot of people that are sitting here in this group, and you say, well, how long have you been in business for? I've been in business 3 years. And then they mention, well, I have a 7-year-old. Or I've been in business 3 years and I'm 38 years old. And you know that they were doing something before they owned their business. They were working in another job. They already had children. You already had a wife. And it's one of those things that it is a scary thing. And we've all been there. When you open up, you've got that fear. Am I going to fail? Am I going to be able to do this for my family? And I think it's that fear that really pushes you to get to that point. Fear for me is a motivator. When I was first starting out in my business, it came down to, am I going to be able to pay the bills? Am I going to be able to keep a roof over my family's head? And there was a lot of guilt tied in with that fear. Why did I leave a great paying job in order to do this? But you realize you're not doing it for right then. You're doing it for 10 years down the road. One of the greatest things, I think, Zach, that you've ever said was you told the story of going after your dreams. And if one of your children came up to you and said, Dad, I want to move to the city and I want to pursue ballet, and how could you ever say, yes, you can go and chase that dream if you never chased your own dreams when you were younger. So it's one of those things where I don't want to be that dad. I don't want to be that person who, didn't take that risk, who didn't have that fear, because, you're always going to live your life looking back saying, I wonder what if. We're able to, I think, meet that fear head on, and able to take that fear on and have it motivate us so that we're not failing.
Brad, you talk a little bit first about changes you've made and how you don't let age be, or any factor, hold you back.
Yeah. You talk about being in your 40s or whatever. Actually 51, but I don't play the age card, or whatever. But it's just there's a continual cycle of that. You're always having to get after it. You're always having to ask yourself the questions of what is it that you really want to do. I hear you're talking about what is your why, what motivates you. And I think that's one of the biggest things for me is every day I get up, I could rest on my laurels and say, oh, well, I was a Navy SEAL, or I was a business owner, or I was this. But in the end, I know that deep down I have something better inside of me that I can rise up and go out and help people. I mean, that's why I'm here this weekend. I could have stayed at home and been comfortable, sat on my dock, grab a cold drink, but instead I got out of my comfort zone. I wanted to come up here, share an experience with all the people here, and in the end I'm going to be better for it. Hopefully I can touch on some other athletes' lives here, help them get better. So it's just that continual every day, rinse and repeat. You've got to push yourself.
You could get comfortable once you just say, I'll work hard Monday through Friday, but on the weekend, I'm going to be quote unquote normal. And you have to be super careful of building momentum in the normal.
Normal sucks. And normal. Well, think about it. We were talking about it. Normal. If you charted normal, 10 years ago, normal was different than today. 10 years before that, it was normal. Normal just keeps getting worse. Normal's cancer, obesity, laziness, couches, croissants, right? Who wants to be normal?
Can you dig a little bit deeper into how people could find their why and why that's important?
Yeah, I think without a why, you're just kind of spinning your wheels and going in these random directions without some kind of beacon or some kind of guiding light that kind of keeps your rudder kind of straight. I use an exercise with guys I train or guys I work with. It's called my little 10-minute mirror test. We were discussing it last night where you just spend 10 minutes of looking at yourself in the mirror. It's almost impossible to lie to yourself about what you want to become, what you want to achieve, and kind of where you want to go. You can ask yourself 1,000 questions in 10 minutes, and all the answers are kind of there. It has a tendency to kind of distill the stuff that doesn't make a difference in your life and focus you down to what you feel is important. If you continue to follow what you feel is important and continue to follow that goal, that why, it's been proven that you will be successful. You just strip away all the other stuff and it's just you talking to you, and there's no lying, there's no deceit, there's nobody else giving you advice, nobody else telling you what to do. It's just you and yourself.
I coach on the side, however, I'm still active duty military, and I was talking to a couple guys this morning that I'm here this weekend to absorb as much as I can and talk to these guys about the fears they face, because my biggest fear right now is leaving something that's just been comfortable and good to me, and now I got a kid on the way, so it's like, okay, but the regret I will have if I don't go now, there's never going to be the right time. There's always going to be something going on, so it's like, got to do it now. So when my child's like, Dad, are you doing what you were set out to do? You want to be able to say yes, and that's the biggest thing I'm fighting right now. So these guys this weekend are just like awesome, saying, hey, we all had fears, we all face the same things you do. You got to figure out how you're going to go after it and accomplish it.
In the morning when the alarm goes off, most people hit snooze. So when you go to hit snooze, you say, well, do I want to be average? I don't want to be average. The average guy hits snooze button, I'm not going to hit it.
I think a consistent theme that we're seeing here with everybody, whether it's overcoming fear, getting uncomfortable, being successful, is yourself. Looking in the mirror, you really find out who you are. You want to know what you're good at, what you're not good at, what you're comfortable with, what you're uncomfortable with, what you fear. And once you know those things, you can kind of set those goals, see that vision, and not let anybody deter you. And surround yourself with people of a like mind. And that's all of us here, are like-minded. We all want to accomplish kind of the same things. And, we see Zach and what he does and where he came from, and he guides us in certain ways. And we all kind of, those of us that know each other touch base because we've all kind of come from the same place. And that's where, I've really struggled at times, is where I let the wrong people tell me what to do. Everybody has an idea of what your gym should be like, what your life should be like, how you should run your business. And if you're listening to the wrong people, then you're going to be average, you're going to be normal, and nobody wants that. And so what I've done, the times that I've felt the best about what I'm doing, is when I have clarity of my vision, I take an honest look at myself. Who do I want to be? What do I want to accomplish? And surround myself with the people that can help me get there. and that's something that is very valuable, and then there's nothing that can stop you.
A lot of people have jealousy, and they're jealous of people that are successful. Where I grew up, that didn't exist. Where I grew up, we were taught to go spend time with those people that were successful, get around them, figure out a way to emulate them. Maybe you could learn, maybe you could earn off them, whatever it may be. And where I grew up, everybody became successful for that reason. So don't get jealous of somebody that's doing well.
Surrounding yourself with people that you want to emulate, right?
Yeah.
Take those markers and.
Sometimes you can't though. Sometimes the people closest to you are the people that will hold you back. There's many times this certification, we've got several hundred coaches that have gone through, and it's not like a rare thing to hear them sometimes say, my family, whatever it is, brother, sister, fathers, even wives, husbands, they say the people closest to them are trying to hold them back and, go ahead, eat that cookie. Literally, like, go ahead, eat the cookie. It's not going to do anything to you, Or don't stop working so hard. That's too much. And sometimes you need to do things alone. And where I've kind of, we spoke about this yesterday, talking about the book, is I use books to, quote unquote, surround myself with powerful people. So when I need to be inspired, like Spartan Up the book, read that. And I tell people you should read every day, and just say you're going to read 2 pages. 2 pages, you usually can't, stop at 2 pages. Read 2 pages in the morning to inspire your day. Finish at night reading autobiographies of powerful, inspiring people that did create change. That way you go to sleep with the right mindset, and when you wake up in the morning, you have the attitude of, you just read about this person who overcame obstacles. You're not going to hit that snooze button. So you may not have the supportive friends, environment, or any of these supportive anything. And that's when you have to say, the only person that's going to help yourself is yourself. And read books, listen to the podcast, and then that law of attraction starts happening, and you'll actually start meeting people that are on your same wavelength. But don't fear having to do stuff alone, because there are many times where you do need to do things alone, and if you're waiting to be supported, you may be waiting a very long time.
Definitely my kind of guys. That's a great group.
Yeah.
You know what's really cool about them too is we tend to think of these big, strong gym guys as meatheads, and these guys are anything but. No, what are you laughing at?
That's the stereotype,
yeah,
right?
that's the stereotype, right? Yeah. And these guys really break that down. I mean, they are big, strong guys, really bright thinkers, and also really cool where they talked about their own challenges, like some of the things they had to struggle going through to build their gyms and to
sleeping in the cars.
Sleeping in the cars, yeah.
Building
exactly.
a business is tough. Yeah. I mean, no woman would agree with this, but it's tougher than giving birth. I mean, it is tough building a business.
Yeah.
Everything that can go wrong.
Well, it's
longer. I do love how it's only guys who ever compare things to giving birth and say, "Oh, it's harder than," because we are experts in what's harder than giving birth, apparently.
We know.
But actually, having built a couple of businesses, some of which went real well, some of which didn't. I agree. It's a tough everyday grind.
Gun
right?
to your head every day.
Yeah, for sure.
Some good analogies going on.
But the other thing that I really got that was important with these guys was finding community, right? That even if you're doing it on your own, you don't do it on your own. You still find people to draw on and to help. And obviously, Zach has created a community that's what he's all about.
Yeah, he's done an incredible job, and he did it with 2 nickels to rub together when he started. And it's great when you see people line up behind somebody. And he picked up the phone to a bunch of his guys, and he said, "Hey, we're going up to Trailside in Vermont, my buddy Joe's place," and they all followed him.
They talked a lot about community and surrounding yourself with good people and building up a great structure. But then Zach at the end, he said, "You know what? There are times when that's not possible in the real world, where you just happen to be around people who aren't positive." And I thought it was really cool. His approach to that was to step back, isolate yourself from the negative influences, and then put positive influences in your head through podcasts like this one, books, just still finding ways to draw on other good thinkers.
How about when we interviewed Nate Carr a while back, right? And he said just crumple up that paper, throw it in the fire. So it's similar concept.
Yeah.
There.
I have a more ecological analogy I can make for
Of
that.
course you would.
Yeah.
Let's hear it.
Dive in is exactly the right word, because I don't know if you guys know what bioremediation is, right? So oysters, they're
Strangely, I do.
bivalves. Yeah, they're bivalve scrubbers. And okay, so oysters that are in the ocean and oyster mushrooms, they also serve similar functions, right? So if you inoculate oyster mushrooms into a place that has an oil spill, right? The oysters will eat that oil, eat that pollution, right? It's like that negativity that we're talking about, turn it into food and be able to sprout mushrooms that you can technically eat. I mean, look at Paul Stamets. He's a great, brilliant guy who's written a lot about this. Same thing with oyster mushrooms, right? They're able to take all those pollutants out of the ocean, they scrub it, and they create clean water. So if you find people or you find books or something when you're in a negative way, you just need to find a way to bioremediate
Just
it.
eat some
in your
oyster
mind.
mushrooms.
Just eat some oyster mushrooms.
Maybe
Yep, and
give the
then-
oyster mushrooms to the negative people.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. So that's the analogy that comes to mind there, and that's what I think your races do, right? Takes
I
a lot
love
of negativity.
I love oysters.
Bioremediates it.
I do. I love oysters.
And then,
So that's probably why I'm so positive.
We actually are going to have to open up an online e-store where we sell oyster mushrooms and camel's milk.
And maybe some kelp and
That's
some coconut
referencing
oil.
another podcast.
What was the other?
salt,
What was the
coconut
other
oil?
thing? The mayo.
Mycelium.
Mycelium.
Whose
We'll sell-
mycelium is it?
We'll sell some.
Myceliums. My mom actually made snacks.
We'll sell some mycelium.
Yeah, we got some
so
mycelium.
the great
Good
thing
stuff.
is all these confusing terms. Sephra's
I
going
can
to clarify
clarify
for
for
you on her corner in the podcast.
Putty's Corner.
Putty's Corner.
Bioremediation.
And you're going to find this. You're going to find our thoughts on this interview, on all of our other podcasts at SpartanUpPodcast.com. We've got Colonel and I's Interactive Corner where you can tell us what you thought, share your thoughts.
Hopefully be more interactive than I was in this discussion.
Do you have anything to say?
Have you met Colonel and I?
Give us something.
A bunch of strong guys talking about being positive, and what else would you expect? I mean, when you're a coach, positivity's got to be 99%, right?
Yeah.
And so then you put all these guys together, it was just great energy flow.
Yeah. It was a positive place to be for the weekend for sure.
Like in the Amy barn.
Like in the Amy barn.
Yeah.
Where we are today.
Absolutely.
All right, so we'll see you soon. We'll see you next time. Grab an oyster if you get a moment.